The Soviet cruiser Mihkail Kutuzov was a part of the Sverdlov class of light cruisers, designed and constructed in the late 1940s and early 1950s by the Soviet Union. As the Cold War gained momentum, the Mihkail Kutuzov emerged as a significant symbol of Soviet naval power, blending traditional naval architecture with modern wartime needs. Its history is deeply intertwined with the Soviet Navy's efforts to assert dominance at sea, both strategically and symbolically. Design and construction. The Mihkail Kutuzov was laid down at the 61 Kommunara shipyard in Nikolaev, now Mykolaiv, Ukraine, in February 1951 and launched on November 28, 1952. It was commissioned into service on February 30th, 1954, making it one of the last Sverdlov-class ships to be completed. The Sverdlov class, also known by its project designation as Project 68bis, was the last class of traditional gun cruisers constructed for the Soviet Navy before the transition to missile-equipped vessels. The Sverdlov design was heavily influenced by pre-WW cruiser concepts, but integrated new technologies and lessons learned from the war. The class was built for multi-role functionality, intended for convoy escort, surface combat, and shore bombardment. With a standard displacement of around 13,600 tons and a length of 210 meters, the Mihkail Kutuzov and its sister ships were designed to be formidable gun platforms. The ship's main armament consisted of 12 152mm B-38 guns in 4 triple turrets, capable of firing both armor-piercing and high-explosive shells, providing a robust anti-surface capability. Secondary armament included 12 100mm dual-purpose guns and several smaller-caliber anti-aircraft guns, allowing the Mihkail Kutuzov to defend itself against aerial threats. The cruiser also featured a relatively high speed of 32.5 knots, thanks to its steam turbines, making it an agile unit for its size. Operational history. Upon entering service, the Mihkail Kutuzov became part of the Black Sea Fleet, a strategically vital component of the Soviet Navy. Its deployment in the Black Sea was a clear signal of Soviet intent to project power in a region of significant geopolitical importance. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, the cruiser participated in various fleet exercises and naval parades, serving both as a combat vessel and as a platform for demonstrating Soviet naval strength. During this period, the Mihkail Kutuzov operated primarily in the Mediterranean and the Black Sea, where it frequently conducted port visits to friendly countries, supporting the Soviet Union's diplomatic and military presence. One of its significant roles was providing naval gunfire support during amphibious exercises, practicing shore bombardments that were part of larger Soviet military strategies. The cruiser also served as a flagship during several large-scale naval exercises, which aimed to hone the Soviet fleet's combat capabilities and improve coordination in complex multi-ship maneuvers. However, as missile technology advanced and warfare tactics evolved, the Sverdlov-class cruisers, including the Mihkail Kutuzov, began to show signs of obsolescence. Despite its impressive gunnery, the Mihkail Kutuzov lacked the anti-air and anti-submarine capabilities needed in a modern naval engagement. Midlife modifications and Cold War role. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, with the Soviet Navy increasingly focusing on missile warfare and submarines, Mihkail Kutuzov received several upgrades. These included improved radar and fire control systems, which enhanced its ability to track and engage fast-moving aerial and surface targets. However, unlike some of its sister ships, the Mihkail Kutuzov did not undergo extensive modifications, such as the installation of anti-ship or surface-to-air missiles. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, the cruiser continued to serve as a training ship and a showpiece vessel for the Soviet Navy, participating in numerous fleet reviews and exercises. As a training platform, it provided invaluable experience for new generations of Soviet sailors, especially in the art of gunnery and ship handling. It also frequently hosted foreign dignitaries and Soviet leaders, showcasing the might of the Soviet Navy to both domestic and international audiences. Decommissioning and preservation. By the late 1980s, the Mikhail Kutuzov had become increasingly outdated as missile-equipped cruisers and destroyers took precedence in the Soviet naval doctrine. It was formally decommissioned in 1987, after more than 3 decades of service. However, the ship avoided the fate of scrapping that befell many of its contemporaries. Instead, it was preserved and converted into a museum ship. Today, the Mikhail Kutuzov is berthed at the port city of Novorossiysk on the Black Sea coast. As a museum ship, it stands as a testament to the Soviet Navy's mid-20th century ambitions and a symbol of the naval history of the Cold War era. The cruiser is open to the public, providing visitors with an opportunity to explore its decks, gun turrets, and command facilities, all of which are preserved to reflect its condition during active service. Legacy and significance. The Mikhail Kutuzov represents a transitional period in naval history. It was among the last of the gun cruisers, ships built around heavy artillery rather than guided missiles. Its design encapsulated a blend of World War II-era lessons and post-war advancements, bridging the gap between traditional naval combat and the missile age. As a museum ship, the Mikhail Kutuzov continues to serve a role similar to its active years, educating and inspiring new generations. It symbolizes the power projection, strategic ambition, and naval heritage of the Soviet Union, standing as a floating monument to an era of both naval evolution and Cold War geopolitics.